Hey guys, today I'm going to give you 5 tips whenever your wife or your long-term relationship lover says, I need space.
You just got to be coachable.
Once you understand how to discontinue doing the things that you should not be doing, I'm going to show you how to replace those with the things that you should be doing. That way we can make sure that you're aligning your actions with your goals, which is to restore the long-term relationship or the marriage, versus aligning your actions with your feelings, which oftentimes leads to a forever separation or a divorce. Let's get started. Hey guys, please do us a favor. I want to ask you to do something for me that I think will also help you. If you really want your relationship restored or your marriage, implement the law of reciprocity into your relationship by subscribing to this channel, because it'll support this video being served to other people that need this. And I believe that that'll be returned to you if you'll do that. My name's Griffin. I run the DivorceStoppers program. In the program, I help men save their long-term relationships or their marriages when their wife's not currently interested in working on the relationship. The program itself is a men's leadership program. It helps you level up all areas of your life, starting with how to run a relationship that's successful and position yourself so that the woman that you're with, the love of your life, you're actually in a position where it's to her benefit if she were to come back to you. The first thing that I want you to acknowledge is exactly what's taking place. What does this mean? Right now, in this very moment, she's having negative feelings about the relationship, you, the marriage. But in a nutshell, she's feeling biased against you and or the relationship, and in some cases, maybe even projecting past relationships onto you. So now you have a stack of bias that's against you, that's against the relationship. And while that may not be fair, that's the reality of the situation and where you're at. So what is in essence basically happening? It's her expressing her negative emotions at that moment. At this moment, she's not feeling it. She doesn't want to be with you. She needs some space. She needs some breathing room. She's stressed out. A lot of this may have nothing to do with you or the relationship, but confirmation bias, if she's walking in that, she has projected that onto you or the relationship, or both. Anytime a woman is giving you her negative feelings, the last thing that you want to do is disagree with her negative feelings. Because for her, if that's how she's choosing to feel right now, and it might even be on a subconscious level, it's still her feelings. And for her, her feelings are justified and they're true. So what you should do whenever a woman presents her negative feelings is agree with her negative feelings and put a good name on that. Put a good name on the negative feelings. Well, Denver, what are you talking about? I've never heard this before. This is what I mean. So when a woman comes and says, hey, I need space. I need a few days. I need some breathing room. I'm going to go stay at my sister's for a couple of days. Could you stay at the Holiday Inn tonight? I never recommend a separation as a tool that we use to restore a relationship. That's doing the opposite of creating intimacy. I'm not saying none of my clients are not actively in a separation. We help them get out of that situation. And I've even had clients that listened to somebody else as they were going through the program, listened to a man of faith that told them, oh, you should go do a trial separation. And that is foolish advice in my opinion. I would never recommend that if they asked for my advice. And so how can you avoid a long-term separation, or what's one of the goals that you can do to restore the relationship, to reconcile the relationship, so you go back to a unit of oneness, of reconciliation, togetherness, intimacy? Well, the same thing that you should do if she says, I need space. And that's just her presenting you with her negative feelings. And you should be thankful that you didn't just come home and find all of your stuff thrown out, put in the garage, or come home and find the house has been emptied out, your apartment is packed up, and she's gone. So it is a good sign that she feels enough emotional safety with you to say the words, I need space. So how do you agree with those negative feelings when she says that? Because that's all that is she's stating her negative feelings. You sit down and you be slow to respond. And you very thoughtfully listen to the words that she's saying when she brings this up. Instead of just pivoting with a childlike, immature, selfish response, use this as an opportunity to create intimacy by making her feel heard and making her feel seen, by agreeing with her negative feelings. And don't just do this as a manipulation tactic to try to save the relationship. Do this real. Well, how do you do something real like this? Denver, you want me to agree with something that's the opposite of what I want, and you want me to really agree with it. No, I'm not asking you to agree with the separation. I'm not asking you to agree with a divorce. I'm asking you to agree with her negative feelings. about needing some space. So here's how you do that. She's probably telling you why she needs some space. Don't just immediately respond. Be slow to respond. Hear the words she's saying and process what she's saying from her perspective, from her truth. I like to tell this story a lot. It's a recent thing that I've been telling. I live in Puerto Rico. And every morning I like to get up. I get up at 4:30, I make coffee and do my thing. And I like to sit on my patio and watch the sunrise up out of the ocean. Because I'm so close to the equator, it is very, very fast. I could send you a 30-second video of it, not time-lapse. You could see it moving really fast. When I'm not in Puerto Rico, I like to spend time with my grandchildren. Today, as of the date of this recording, I have 7 grandchildren. I like to spend time with my children and my grandchildren in the middle of the United States. So when I fly to the United States, I sit there on the porch. I like to get up same time, drink my coffee, watch the sunrise. As the sunrise starts rising from my porch there, I have time to go back in the house, wash the dog, make some breakfast, make love to my wife, and probably even vacuum the rug and maybe write a chapter in a book. I come back outside, the sun has barely even crested the horizon. So what I'm saying is in the middle of the United States, the sunrise is slow. It's extremely slow. So here's 2 questions for you. True or false? The sunrise is very fast. Well, I just told you from my home in Puerto Rico, the sunrise is very fast. So the answer is A, true. So I have another question for you. The sunrise is very slow. True or false? Well, I just told you at my home in Little Rock, Arkansas, the sunrise is so slow that if you're in a hurry to do something, it'll make you go nuts because it is so slow. So here's the thing. I have the same person, which is me, watching the same sun from the same earth, but I'm giving you opposing facts that completely contradict each other, but both are true. This is where you're at when your wife says, I need space. Position yourself to see her truth. Agree with her negative feelings because they're real. And who can argue with something that's true? When you argue with those negative feelings, you're further confirming the bias that she has against a relationship, and you're more likely for her to go do something more drastic and more permanent, such as file for a divorce or a legal separation. So the way you agree with the negative feelings is listen to the words that she's saying and say, I understand. I've never considered your perspective from that. I can understand what makes you feel that way. I understand why you need some space. And then how do you put a good name on those negative feelings? You explain why you understand. A lot of programs out there teach just agree to everything that she says. I don't teach that you should agree with everything that she says because you'll come across as a horse's ass. What I want you to do is agree with her negative feelings and then put a good name on the negative feelings. How do you do that? Because one doesn't work without the other. If you just say, I agree, you're going to make her hate you. And it's the opposite of what we want to do here. What we're trying to do here is make her feel heard, make her feel seen. You'll never do that by just saying, I agree, you're right. I agree, you're right. I agree, you're right. That will make her feel more lonely, less heard, less seen, and sometimes can actually push her to have an emotional or physical affair. And when that happens, you have to take your responsibility for that. For a lot of you that you're watching this, if you're not already there, that might be coming. It could already be happening. And I had a man tell me yesterday on a Zoom call that I did with him, well, if I found out she was having an emotional affair or a physical, I would never go back there. And if that's where you're at, I'm okay. But what I really sensed in the way that he was saying that was he was probably unaware, but that was just him revealing to me that he was so full of pride up to his eyeballs that he couldn't see straight. That's not the reason the relationship can't be restored. An affair partner, whether it's emotional or physical, is simply the fruit of a failed relationship. And if anybody that's watching this is in that predicament, if you find yourself in that boat, maybe you've repeated this pattern more than once. Maybe you're in your second or your third failed relationship, or maybe even a marriage. You have to acknowledge, what did I contribute to the downfall of that? Where did I fail in the relationship that this person needed to go outside of the relationship? Is it your fault if your lover has an affair? I'm not saying that she doesn't have free will to make her own decisions just like you do. But what I am saying, it's very smart if you want to align your actions with your goals and not your feelings. That way you don't have to replay this shit show that you're going through over again with another woman in the future. Then it might be wise to sit down and analyze yourself and start seeing and listening to the woman that's in front of you before it's too late. One of the ways that you do that is you recognize that an emotional or a physical affair partner, yes, there are things that you most likely did that contributed to that. I'm not saying that you're responsible for that other person. Your need to be responsible for that other person is one of the reasons that that person may feel controlled. And what I'm doing is giving you one tip on how you can start the process of repairing and mending that. And the way that you do that is agree with the negative feelings. And the way you put a good name on the negative feelings is explain with sincerity, why do I agree with these negative feelings? Yes, you're right. You deserve some space. I see now your perspective that I have been a horse's ass, and I understand why you need some space. You're agreeing with the negative feelings, and you're putting a good name on the negative feelings by explaining why you're agreeing with the negative feelings. This is the first and most important tip that I can give you whenever your long-term relationship lover or your wife says the words, I need space, I need a breather, give me a minute. The next tip I have for you is something that you should not do. Do not agree with anything that's going to further cause harm to the relationship or the family's finances, or to you personally. Here's an example of what you should not do. If she comes to you and says, hey, I printed off some divorce papers, I would like you to sign those. Hey, I have negative feelings about this. I want you to agree to give me full custody, child support, and alimony. That's something you should not do. Why? Because the last thing that we want to do is make it easier for her to exit the relationship where she's going to be financially secure out of the relationship where you're going to be in a challenge as the weaker vessel, because it's going to increase the chances that the relationship failure lasts forever. So what we do want to do is position yourself in the best possible opportunity that in order for her to come back with you, that it would be in your best interest and her best interest. And if there's children involved, the best interest of the children. That's never going to happen if you agree to harm yourself financially to put her in a better position financially because you think being Mr. Nice Guy is going to aid in the restoration of the relationship. I was just on a Zoom a few minutes ago with a gentleman from Canada. This gentleman told me that in the event that his relationship ends in a divorce, his wife will walk away with a considerable chunk of change, like probably around $12,000 to $15,000 a year in child support, which I know is not a lot of money, but still, you figure that's like $1,000 a month. Plus, they would have about $50,000 to $75,000 in equity that she would walk away with if they got divorced. The home would be sold. In this example, for this man, because of the area that he lives in, the cost of living is not exorbitant. So $75,000 plus $15,000 a year for child support could really financially give her stability and help encourage her to exit the relationship, to exit the marriage, because she has the financial resources to do so. I'm not in any way recommending that any man leave a woman destitute. What I am recommending is that you don't make foolish decisions because you think if I go ahead and agree to give her a divorce, I agree to give her 50% of the equity in the house, I'm agreeing without a battle to give her full custody of the kids and also to give her the child support that she's due. What I do want you to do is step back and look at your situation and just ask yourself, in the event that I give her what she wants, is this an action step that is enabling her further to exit the marriage and the relationship? Or is this in line with my feelings where I think, oh, she's going to see that I'm being nice and maybe she'll want to come back to you as she's literally exiting the relationship. You don't want to be naive and not believe what's right in front of you. At some point when I was going through this myself, I actually was naive. I thought I had all the time in the world to fix this. I was praying and I believe in miracles, but I also think that miracles are the exception in prayer life. They're rare. Most of the time, the prayer has to be accompanied by action because faith without works is dead. So this is an action step that I'm giving you. So one of the tips that I'm giving you here in tip number 2 is don't agree with things that would contribute and aid her and help her to exit the relationship. Now, if you're already divorced and you already have a legal separation and you're still trying to restore the marriage or the relationship because she's not remarried to somebody else, I can get on board with that. I can support that. I can even help you with that if you're there. But what I don't recommend is that you build her up and set her up so that she's better off financially without you, maybe than she is with you, because it's in everybody's best interest if two can stay one and combine the resources, and we don't have 2 mortgages to pay, 2 apartments to lease. It's even in her best interest if you can unite the 2 incomes. And so an action step would never be, don't agree with anything that she asks you for that's going to financially enable her to exit the relationship. If it's already done, yeah, take care of your kids if she has them full time. But don't just give her full custody of the kids because she's asking for them. That might be in line with the goals that you have for your life. If so, then give it to her. But if that's not in line with the goals that you have for your life, you're just doing that because you feel like it might make her think you're nice and want to come back to you, that's stupid. Do not do that. If you're in a relationship where you know that the train has left the train station, she's driving it, and it's heading to divorce or separation forever, you definitely want to get help because you're going to need more than the information I can give on YouTube. You might very well need transformation.
I'm offering right now a free masterclass, and at the end of that masterclass, I'm giving you an opportunity to apply to work with me. The website to do that is denvergriffin.com/masterclass. And if you're enjoying some of this content, please hit that like button and subscribe. I want you to be notified as those videos become available in real time.
So the third tip that I would give you to not do is don't think that you have more time. A lot of time we men, we want to step back and be naive and not see the situation for what it is. I actually remember when I was going through this that I had so much time. I truly believed in my mind, like my subconscious, that I was going to be driving down the motorway, the freeway one day, and that a magical unicorn was going to cross the road, and all of a sudden my prayers would be answered. I would wake up the next day, this unicorn absorbed in my car, and magically I would just wake up the next morning and this nightmare would be over and that the relationship would be restored, because I wanted that so bad. And I went through this 2 times. I went through this in my first marriage, and then I went through this in my current marriage. The second time I figured out the tweaks that was needed in order to save the relationship before it officially ended. And now I teach that in the DivorceStoppers program. But what I am telling you is don't make the mistake that I made the first time around, where a 23-year marriage ended, and that I almost made the same mistake the second time around, but I figured out how to tweak it. Because in the second time around, one of the things that I was very well aware of was time was only on my side if I put it there. Don't be naive. Don't sit around praying and expect God to do what He expects you to do. And so what I mean by that is it's okay to pray. It's okay to believe in miracles, but don't sit around expecting Him to do something unless you're doing everything that you can. One of the things that you can do is if these YouTube videos are not enough and you know it, maybe you're getting some wins, but you just know in the pit of your soul that it's not enough, reach out to me or my team or even somebody else. There's more programs out there. It's not just mine. Find somebody that can help you. Now, this is what I would encourage you if you start looking for that. Find somebody that's been in your shoes. I always like to say this. I believe the Creator does not call the qualified. He qualifies the called. So what do I mean by that? Your preacher may not be the person to go ask for help. It may actually backfire unless he or she has been in your shoes and they've navigated the ship successfully to go where you want to go. They have not been qualified to help you. Don't go ask for help from that person. Find somebody that's been in your shoes and they have successfully reached the bank, reached the shore of the island that you want to land on. That's the person that's qualified to help you. Okay? And if you're seeking advice or you're listening to somebody that they're talking about no contact, look and see if they even have a wedding ring on. If you're in a marriage or a long-term relationship, find out, have they ever been in a long-term relationship? Have they ever been in a marriage? Do they have children? Do they have grandchildren? Can they relate to what you're going through? Have they been through it? If not, more than likely, they're not qualified to help you navigate the path to go where you want to go because they've never done it. And so Even if they have a wedding ring on, do a little bit of research and see how long have they been wearing that wedding ring. And if you're in a 4 or a 10 or a 20 or a 30-year marriage and they've only been married for 3 months, you might want to second guess and just kind of look at some more options to see what else is out there. Tip number 4, while you're giving her space, you want to keep the communication light. So in this step, I'm going to tell you a couple things that you should do and a couple things that you should not do, but it's still tip number 4. So here's what you should do. Only have fun talk, happy talk, fun talk, happy talk. So look at my face right now and listen to my voice. Fun talk, happy talk, fun talk, happy talk. Fun talk, happy talk, fun talk, happy talk. If you talk to her on the phone, let her hear that smile, and it will convey a different psychological message. Anytime a woman wants space from a man, it's because she senses the man is unhappy and she starts feeling responsible for his unhappiness. 99 times out of 100, she's also unhappy with her own life, and she will project that unhappiness on you, and her brain will subconsciously usually figure out, especially if she has confirmation bias, why you're responsible for her unhappiness, and now you're putting double the weight on her because now she feels responsible for your unhappiness in addition to her own unhappiness. Whenever she talks to you, if you're fun talk, happy talk, fun talk, happy talk, and she can hear that smile, people don't smile unless they're happy. Choose to be happy. Choose to be happy. You can literally do this. Maybe right now you're feeling suicidal. It's a very normal thing when you're going through this because the pain is so severe a lot of times when you're going through a separation, especially that you seek an escape because nobody wants to go through that kind of pain. I know I personally have went through the pain if that's where you're at. I went through the ups and downs, the loneliness, the depression, the weight loss, all of the things that go with that. So one of the things that you can do, you can choose to align your actions with your feelings, which is depressed. And, I'm sorry if that's what you're going through, but if you really want the marriage restored or the long-term relationship repaired, you're going to have to align your actions with your goals. And one of the goals is to choose to be happy. And, I've heard people in different industries, especially in coaching, say, fake it till you make it doesn't work. Guess what? At this very moment, I have an ulcer that's bleeding. And so I'm choosing to be in a good mood. I chose to say I am full of energy and get on here and do this YouTube video because I missed it last week. And I'm like, I'm going to serve the community of people that need my help. So I am choosing to feel like doing this video, and I've just made myself do it. You can choose to feel different by choosing to think a different thought. It's called take every thought captive. Well, Diver, how do I keep the conversations fun and happy? How do I do that? Anytime you think about something negative, where you would either complain, condemn, or criticize her, I want you to say, I'm not going to do the 3 C's. I'm going to reword that into the 3 P's. If I can't find something positive, polite, or playful to say, I'm going to tell myself in my mind, I used to go to the bathroom and do this, even at a restaurant, shut up, shut up, shut up, shut up, shut up, shut up. Rewire your brain to look for positive, polite, and playful. Positive, polite, and playful. Right now, she might be on her phone texting somebody that you think is the emotional fair partner. And the old you would blow up and ruin the whole coffee date. Guess what? The new you, you're not going to let that bother you. You're not going to align your actions with your feelings. You're going to align your actions with your goals. And so in that scenario, you would say, I'm going to keep the conversation light, fun, and happy. I'm going to ruin the story she's telling herself about me and about the relationship. If she's telling herself a bad story about you or the relationship, how do you ruin that story? By making it not true. How do you make the story not true? Listen to what she's been telling you for 2 years and then start doing the opposite of that. Make her feel heard, seen, and valued by shutting your mouth, listening to her words, think about them before you respond. Just like you would somebody that if you were employed somewhere and your boss came and said, I have to have a serious talk with you, would you listen to him or her before you opened your big fat mouth and responded? Yes, you would. Give her the same respect. See her. Hear her. One of the things that you can do to rebuild intimacy really fast is change your communication to fun talk, happy talk, fun talk, happy talk. And most importantly, when you're talking on the phone or in person, let her hear you smile. I used to teach call center reps on how to enroll people in different products or services over the telephone, or customer service reps, and we always scored higher satisfaction on surveys taken, or the sales numbers went through the roof anytime my sales reps that were doing telesales, if they knew, we always put a mirror right in front of their computer screen so they could see themselves, and I had a little thing engraved on it that said, let them hear you smile. The reps that the smile can be heard on the other end of the telephone have about a 600% increase in sales. You guys want to enroll your wife that she should come back into the relationship. You want to enroll your lover, your fiance, your long-term relationship lover to come back into the relationship with you, right? So that's basically a sell, right? You've got to sell her on the deal. How do you do that? Ruin the negative story that she's told herself and maybe even some of her friends about the relationship by making those things untrue. Fun talk, happy talk, fun talk, happy talk. When needed, shut up, shut up, shut up. Positive, polite, playful. Positive, polite, playful. Tip number 5, which is right there in line with tip number 4, is don't try to talk about anything serious. Listen, I am very well aware, especially the relationship. Okay? But it's not just a relationship. Whenever your wife or your long-term relationship lover is telling you, I need space, I need just a minute to separate, the last thing that you want to do is go have a serious conversation about her, about anything. The last thing that you want to do is go have a serious conversation with her about anything. Now listen, I know that some stuff has to be addressed. Like if there's a death in the family and the funeral is tomorrow, it might make sense to talk about that. That's something a little serious. But keep those serious conversations under 2 minutes because they are intimacy and relationship destroyers. So a lot of the stuff in the past, that serious talk that you would have talked about, and this is, if you ever hear me say, being father of the year is never going to restore a relationship. So maybe you're in a marriage or a long-term relationship when you have kids. So I'm going to give you an example of what I'm talking about. Maybe one of your kids is having some issue, and for you to be the best parent on the planet and responsible, you really need to have a serious conversation with the mother of your child. And so you know that they're not going to agree with your point of view. It's most likely going to be an argument, but it's not going to be a fun conversation. Would you be better served if you aligned your actions with your goals instead of your feelings, thinking this is in the best interest of my children or my child? This must be addressed. Well, I'm not saying the child may not be adversely affected if you don't address that right now. But what I am saying is if you truly align your actions with your goals and not your feelings, it might be in the child's best interest to fail them a little bit in this season in that area in hopes that aligning your actions with the goals to restore the relationship, keeping the conversations fun and happy until the relationship is restored a little bit to the point that it can handle a serious conversation like that, the child and the relationship might be better served if you show up a little bit shittier of a version of a parent than you would have before. So what I mean by that is in order for your relationship to be restored, you're most likely going to have to show up less of a parent than you have before, because the only way that you could be the parent you were before for a lot of you was to have a lot of serious conversations about the welfare of the child. And I'm not saying that you should neglect the child, but I am saying that a lot of the stuff in the past that you would have never neglected, it might be in the child's best interest for this season until the relationship is restored to neglect some of that so that the relationship has a chance to get CPR and get some life back into it before you go down that road. So guys, these are just a few of the tips that I wanted to share with you just to kind of plant some seeds. So before the next video, it can start watering, put some fertilizer on it and building some roots. What I want you guys to do is tell me, is there something else right now that you're going through where you need some relationship advice? You need some marriage tips on what else can I do? What's something else that you're struggling with that I'm not mentioning or that you hoped I would have mentioned in this video? Put those things in the comment right now. If you're one of my subscribers, I respond to every single comment personally, and I always look for those comments to decide what's the next video. You could decide right now what's the next video that I'm going to produce, and I'll produce that specifically for you if you'll put in the comments what else do you need help with, and I'll make a video on that. Guys, also, if you feel like you need a little bit more than tips, because you're really concerned that you might be in that place that I was, driving my car thinking I was going to hit the magical unicorn, that my relationship was just going to magically get better, while everything in front of you is showing quite the opposite. The longer you're separated, the longer there's space, that's danger zone. And this is what I mean when I say, in this circumstance, when a woman has confirmation bias, I say time is only on your side if you put it there. For a lot of you, if you're still watching the video, the clock is probably ticking very, very fast. Why don't you take action today and put time on your side, maybe for the first time in a long time? You can register for my free masterclass. We have limited seats available. The website to do that is denvergriffin.com. After you go through that masterclass, if you feel like that's turned everything around, please put that in the comments on these videos. I like the feedback when we hear that. If you sense that the relationship is in danger of heading toward divorce or a permanent dissolution of the relationship forever, book a call with me or my team today and let us explore the 7-week marriage restoration program that we have called DivorceStoppers. I help men who are facing unwanted divorce or separation from their lover forever restore their relationship, rebuild the marriage, even when the wife is not willing to come in and do that in a counseling or a coaching environment. We can teach you how to position her to change her mind about the relationship by showing you not only how to become the best version for her, but how to get her to see that. And that, my friend, is two very different things. That in itself is unique to this program, and I'm not aware of anybody else doing those two things together in a transformation program to restore relationships.